It's going to be a 57-yard attempt. The long for Chris Boswell in his career is 59. And that kick is drilled through by Chris Boswell, looking to punch it in for their first touchdown of the season. Fires, corner of the end zone, caught, touchdown, the first career touchdown for Darnell Mountain Washington.
Crazy.
And now the fake, and Fields runs into the end zone off the left side. The first in Fields' Steelers career on the ground. Connell gets sacked, the ball is loose, and it's picked up by the Steelers. A fumble caused by Watt again, scooped up by Elliott. What a turn of events. Rodgers back to pass. Rodgers looking, has a man in between, open. Now it's picked off by Beanie Bishop, bobbled up in the air as Bishop will take it. He'll cut back to the left, looking for room. Crosses the 10, crosses the 15, crosses the 5, and gets down to the 1.
The ball find good players.
Do your
and the
job.
game rewards you when you do your job.
Boots a low line drive. Austin retreating back to his 26 will take it. He's going to start to the left, trying to get to the outside there, and he's going to get there, and he's going to cross the 40.
That's what we need. That's what we need.
He's going to cross midfield. He's going to cross the 40 of the Giants. Here he goes, racing down the left sideline. Calvin Austin is in for the score.
Here we go. This pass is caught, and that's a touchdown. That's the way to work. Come on. He's hit that sack. The Steelers win the football game. Let's go. Come get it. You know what it is.
This one is in the history books.
Here we go.
Welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show. I'm Missy Matthews. The Steelers' bye week has come and gone as the team gets ready for the second half of their season. Pittsburgh is sitting at 6-2 and currently atop of the AFC North. But what lies ahead are all 6 division matchups and 3 teams with winning records. For more on how the Steelers rested and recharged, let's welcome in Bob Pompeani, who's standing by with Coach Tomlin. Guys.
All right, Missy, thanks very much. Back to action for the Pittsburgh Steelers after a week off. The bye week preceded what is going to be a really difficult part of their schedule. With us, head coach Mike Tomlin. It's first 8 weeks in. That's a good time to get a bye week. Did you like it? Did you guys accomplish a lot during it?
I tell you what, I don't know that I've run into a bye week that I didn't like. It always seems like that it occurs at the appropriate time. It's an opportunity for guys to rest and recuperate, get away a little bit, but it's also a time for guys who are injured to kind of catch up and get back on the moving train. And so it was that for us. It was some work for some guys that have been out. I'm excited about potential returns of guys like Zach Frazier, for example. Patterson is another example. Tyler on defense and the special teams. Me, myself, as an individual, I had an opportunity to catch up with family. And as my kids get older, man, and they're all over the country, it's a great opportunity to do that.
Do you have a lot of say in your wife's wardrobe and what she does with her business? Does she come to you and say, Mike, what do you think about this outfit?
I have zero, but she has some say over what I wear. That's not Steeler equipment room issue. But that sounds about right. She's a fashion expert and I am not.
Well, you are an expert at doing what you do. So let's talk about this week. Do you have an opportunity to actually self-scout? You use that word sometimes looking back. When you have an opportunity, did you do that and what did you learn?
Yeah, I think self-scout in 2024 is more of a continual thing. Technology is such, analytics, information is such, that we're able to do it in a much more continual basis than maybe when I first took this job. You needed time to collect information, to look at yourself in that way back when I first got this job. And so that probably represented more the spirit of the bye week years ago. But now self-scout is continually being adapted and adjusted because the information is so at our fingertips.
Let's talk about your last game against the Giants. Russell Wilson's second game as a starter, and we saw some good things down the field, especially involving guys other than George Pickens. Calvin Austin had a big game, Van Jefferson. From that point of view, what does he bring to your offense?
I think it's just that. He has a level of experience where if you're doing some schematic things to minimize a known threat like George, he's capable of being inclusive, fluidly distributing the ball to others, allowing them to be components of why we're successful. And I think we've touched on that some when I'm talking about the collective. Obviously, George is a central figure, but week in and week out, I'm not going to be surprised to see elevations in play from other contributors, and oftentimes we let the opponents determine who that is. Sometimes there's a dramatic effort to minimize Pat Freiermuth on the interior, for example, and Calvin's going to have a big day, or whether they're working hard on the interior with Calvin and Muth, and Van gets an opportunity. I just think that's a component of being a good team, that balance, being willing and capable of distributing the ball to everyone, particularly when they're capable of focusing their energy schematically on known threats like George.
Every game, it seems like there's a big play. You can look back at just about every game that's played in the NFL, say, this turned the game around. Calvin Austin with the punt return. Danny Smith's group has had fingerprints on a lot of these games. What did that play mean for you at the time?
It's significant. It's significant as a block kick. It's a score. Anytime you get an opportunity to do that, but not only the direct repercussions of it, but the emotional lifts, the energy that's involved in a play like that, the momentum that it can create. It was just a really significant play in a close ball game, and everything that happened after was easier because it transpired. And you feel that. I don't know that you can quantify that, but you feel that.
Especially at home.
Yeah,
that's when you feel it, right?
No doubt.
You also needed a closing play, someone to close it out, and it's T.J. Watt, not surprisingly. But I wanted to ask you about Highsmith back, and he had a big night as far as getting pressure on the quarterback. Those two seem to flip-flop every now and then. Was that significant in how the final play, the forced fumble, and the sack worked?
No question. As we regain our strength in our rush, and to be honest with you, it's been compromised for a better part of the first half of the season. Alex Highsmith has missed a lot of time, and Herbert continues to be out. And so that puts a lot of pressure on TJ and really makes what he's doing that much more spectacular, to be quite honest with you. But as we regain our strength, and last week was a representation of that, Alex Highsmith being the significant player that he is, it not only allows us to be formidable, but also versatile, and move people around and make everyone a moving target. And so that's kind of a representative of what we're capable of at full strength. Can't wait to get Herbert back in the game and show some other things. Yeah,
well, there's a lot to show for your team. You got a lot of very good individual players which make the team effort successful as it is. The Steelers are 6-2. They'll look to get to 7-2 against a team that could be one of the big surprises in the NFL, the Washington Commanders. We're going to break down what they do, what they've done, and this game on Sunday with Coach T right after this. Missy, back over to you.
All right, thanks so much, Bob. There were 8 players dealt on the day of the trade deadline, and the Steelers and Commanders were both buyers this past Tuesday. Pittsburgh added wide receiver Mike Williams and outside linebacker Preston Smith to their roster. The Steelers sent a 5th-round pick to the New York Jets for Williams and a 7th-round selection to Green Bay for Smith. As for Washington, they made a splash by trading for cornerback Marshawn Lattimore with New Orleans in exchange for several picks in the upcoming draft. The 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show will be right back.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Washington's hot start to the season just so happens to coincide with rookie QB Jaden Daniels taking the reins. He's won 7 of his first 9 starts, joining Ben Roethlisberger as the only 2 rookie QBs to do so. For more on what the Steelers can expect on Sunday, let's send it back to Bob and Coach. Guys.
Missy, thanks very much. What a marquee game this is this week to jump back into it. Coach Tomlin is here talking about the Washington Commanders. And I have to start with a guy who's been taking the NFL by storm as a rookie, Jaden Daniels. And you've looked at a lot of quarterbacks, but this guy's come onto the scene so quickly, and he seems so poised for what he's been asked to do as a rookie. What is your biggest takeaway from him?
There's 2 things I think that's really awesome about his start. The prudent use of his quarterback mobility, and you got to tip your cap not only to him, but to Cliff Kingsbury in terms of the prudent use of it. And I think that's always something to weigh when you have a quarterback with running abilities. When to utilize it, how to best take advantage of it while keeping him safe. And I think they walk that tightrope very well. And the next thing that he does that's significant is he takes care of the ball. He's got 12 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. And so to be a young guy, to do some of the things that he's done to creatively use his mobility, not only in terms of design runs, but play extensions and play creation, and be able to do all of those things while maintaining possession of the football and not being negligent in terms of ball security is really impressive.
He seems to have a really good chemistry with Terry McLaurin right off the bat. And that's, to me, it's hard to achieve as a rookie, but he's done it.
I think Terry's one of those guys. I think anybody's throwing to him is going to have some chemistry with him. He is just a dynamic one-on-one playmaker. And I think that's what they're doing. He gets in one-on-one circumstances, and he's allowing him to make a play. And a guy like Terry is going to come down with those 50-50 balls more than 50-50. And that's what makes him who he is. And so he's doing a really good job of recognizing that and allowing playmakers to make plays. He and they are doing a really nice job, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Cliff Kingsbury, who's orchestrating it all.
Yeah, and they don't seem to turn the ball over. In fact, I looked at the stats. I think it was 3 turnovers all season. So I know you preach that quite a bit. They've done a good job, despite having a lot of different people who are in the game offensively at times.
No question. They've turned the ball over 3 times in 9 games. I think that's NFL record since they've been keeping that statistic through 9 games. That is ridiculous ball security. When you're taking care of the ball to that degree, there's a strong possibility you're going to be 7-2, and they are.
Let's talk about Dan Quinn. You go back with him at William & Mary, but he's been around, and the one thing his calling card is defense, like you. And he, each year in Dallas, it seemed to improve. It's improved this season as it's gone along. What does Dan Quinn bring to a defensive situation?
Man, he is a fundamentalist, and by that I mean they're going to be a small menu group, but they're going to understand it inside and out. They're going to be where they're supposed to be. They'll do a good job of keeping a lid on it. They're 5th in the league versus the pass. They make you earn it. You don't see a bunch of chunk plays, run or pass on their video. Those are signatures of Dan Quinn defenses. But I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention Joe Witt, who is also his coordinator. They were together in Dallas. Joe is a secondary coach by trade, and I see his footprint in what they do as well, just like he did in Dallas. I see a utilization in one-dimensional passing moments of a lot of defensive packages, highlighted by 5 and 6 defensive backs on the field on passing downs, and doing a nice job of mixing up what they ask those guys to do. Pressure, man-to-man, zone. They do a really nice job of it. Looks very familiar to what they were able to put together in Dallas. And as you mentioned, they're not taking a long time to do so in Washington.
Back to the offense real quick. It's sort of a running back by committee approach. They have 15 rushing touchdowns. I know Daniels is part of it. But the fact that guys like Eckler get in there, Robinson they have a lot of people, McNichols get in there. What does it say about their group as a running back?
They have a very diverse group. They do a nice job of utilizing their talents. Robinson is more of a nuts and bolts, down in and down out, downhill guy, if you will. Anybody that's followed NFL football is familiar with Eckler. He is great in the passing game, the check down game, the screen game, perimeter running game. And Jeremy McNichols has done a nice job. He was with us in training camp a couple of years ago. Man, his game has really evolved, man. He is a core special teams player and highly productive for him in that space, but also is doing some nice things for him as a running back as well. And so they got really good balance in a complementary group.
Should be an outstanding game coming at you at 1 o'clock on Sunday. We'll have it on KDKA TV. When we come back, Missy will talk to Coach Tomlin about the keys to this game. It's a big one down in Washington. Back to you.
All right, thanks so much, guys. And this will mark the first time since 2016 that these two teams will be meeting in Washington. While the Commanders have the edge in the all-time series, the Steelers have won 6 of the last 7 matchups. Still to come, Merrill Hodge fires up his telestrator to break down everything you need to know about this Week 10 meeting. Now it's time for a Yins Chat predictive question. Who will have more sacks versus the Commanders, Alex Highsmith or TJ Watt? Just head to the Steelers mobile app and answer for a chance to win 2 tickets to the Steelers versus Browns game on December 8th at Acrisure Stadium. And remember to play every week for a chance to win the season-long grand prize. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
The Commanders have started their season 7-2 for the first time since 1996 when Norv Turner was their head coach. They're doing so by taking care of the football and boasting a perfect 4-0 record at home. Merrill Hodge has more on why they're having so much success in this week's Playbook.
Hi everyone, welcome into the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex for the Acrisure Playbook. Okay, coming off a bye, and it's a good thing actually to have a bye because this is the best offense they have seen to this point. The Washington Commanders have a complete offense. They have phases in the running game and passing game that are very difficult to defend. They do a lot of unique things first and foremost. They threaten you laterally, which is kind of rare in the NFL perspective. This does give them a good precursor for the Ravens because the Ravens do a lot of this stuff. So it's a great warm-up. Here's an example. They're going to motion the running back to the left, it looks like. But what they do is they reverse him and they hand it off to him. Now, when they hand it off to him, the thing that they're doing to the right is they're pinning and pulling. You can see the offensive linemen in the trenches. They're pinning their guys. And then 76, 67, they're pulling with the back. Now, Jaden Daniels can keep this ball, and he's done this many times. So your backside defenders, they have to make sure that the handoff happens, which they're sure here. The ball was handed off before they collapse. They have to stay to the backside. But the problem with all of this is when you're pinning and pulling one side and you got a quarterback threat to the other side, you just can't help but give up running lanes. It is very difficult. So that's a big problem. And then their passing attack. It's not the ability to throw it, which is a problem, which we'll get to in a second. It is Jaden Daniels' ability to run. Don't get beyond the quarterback. So let's watch Jaden Daniels and the depth that he gets. Okay, now once he gets to that depth, defensively, you can't get beyond him. If you go beyond him like they do here, it just becomes a really big problem. You can see right now, you got 3 defenders beyond him. He sees that. It's 3rd and 9. There's no way that you should allow a quarterback to get a first down on you, but they do because they get beyond him. Now that is a big concern, but the other part is it is no joke as far as throwing the football. He understands things pretty well. Not elite, but well enough. Here they rotated the coverage down. You know, they did the corner belled. Well, he identified that right away. I mean, he's all ready to throw the football. And that's just part of it. It's his anticipation to throw it, but it's his accuracy with it that becomes even more concerning. This is one of the hardest balls to throw in all of football, no matter what level you're talking about, especially in the NFL, and he hits it perfectly. They have a full complement of phases in their passing game, a full complement in their running game. It's going to require the best defensive performance the Steelers have had, but it's going to be a good test because they see the Ravens twice, and this is a very similar offense.
And you can catch all of this season's playbooks currently on the Steelers official YouTube page. Well, Pittsburgh has won their last 7 games coming off of the bye week. That's the 2nd longest active streak in the NFL. And under Coach Tomlin post-bye, the team is 13-4. So how can they secure their 7th victory of the season? Here's Bob and Coach with your keys to the game, presented by your neighborhood Ford store. Bob.
All right, Missy, thanks very much. One of the things we haven't talked about, you're going to get Cam Sutton back here, Coach, as a key, a guy who's been around here for a long time. I know Beanie Bishop has played very well. How do you see him eventually mixing in?
You know, the great thing about Cam is his versatility, man. He's a utility back. He's played outside corner. He's played inside corner. He's played safety. He's played dime. And really, I think that's the value in him, particularly at the early stages of working him back into the fold. His ability to fit in wherever needed is really, really important to us. And so we're glad to have him back. As you mentioned, people always assume that it's he or Beanie. It could be him and Beanie, to be quite honest with you. Beanie's been playing nickel, and Cam plays everywhere. Dime, safety, outside corner. And so it's more about just, you know, positioning Cam to be effective, playing the jersey game, if you will. In the past, he's allowed Minka to move around some because he's an interchangeable part with Minka. And so there's a lot of things beyond nickel that Cam does for us that's going to be helpful to us.
When you look at their defense, Bobby Wagner's name jumps out. He's been around for a long time, and he's still up there in tackles. How prevalent is he? And when you're looking at trying to run to him?
He is big time significant and beyond the statistics, to be quite honest with you. I know his reputation. I know his approach to business because it's no secret for those of us that is in this business. He spends Monday and Tuesday, man, very much involved in game planning. He is a coach on the field. He is a central hub of communication. They give him a lot of latitude in terms of getting them in the correct defense based on circumstance or offensive structure. He has that latitude. He can get them into pressure. He can get them out of pressure. He is a critical component to the foundation of what they're doing there defensively. You got a guy that has a background with Dan Quinn in that defense. It's not new to him, and so he can be a component of teaching it to the others. Bobby Wagner not only is an historic player in this generation, but he's a significant player for the Commanders in 2024.
Another significant player, Jaden Daniels. Real quick, pick your poison with him when it comes to rushing him, going after him, sitting back. What do you do?
You know, I think like a lot of good players, you got to be willing to do everything. His mobility, whether it's by design or ad lib, is a component of any discussion. And so, you know, it doesn't oftentimes dictate what you do, but it oftentimes may dictate how you do it. If you rush, the less people you rush, the more conscious you got to be of the coverage behind them because there are more escape lanes. The more people you rush, the less you do. But those are general football isms, if you will, things that we deploy every time we face quarterback mobility. It'll be our first time in the stadium with him. And so I respect the unknown component of that. I do know that there's a positive impact on his mobility, not only in terms of how situations play out, but just their general attitude regarding situations. They've gone for 11 fourth downs on the season. They're 11 for 11. If you look at the real, whether it's by design or ad lib, quarterback mobility is a major component of that success, for example.
All right, Coach, all the best in Washington. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
That's head coach Mike Tomlin. For Missy Matthews and the coach, I'm Bob Pompeani. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you coming up tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. on the BetMGM kickoff show, followed by the game and 2 hours of postgame on KDKA+. That's going to do it. Thanks for joining us for this edition of the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show. Have a good week.